Hello, Assalamualaikum. Um, Today our group will present assignment 3, which is the case study. So the topic that we chose is Pepcon disaster. The group members are Nafisa Asra, Nurul Amisha Aini, me, and Nurul Fatul Anwar. So we have divided our slides into two parts. The background study, effects, and cost. So I will cover the background study. So Pepcon stands for Pacific Engineering Production Company of Nevada. It is located in Las Vegas. This event occurred on May 4th, 1988. It is the only U.S. producer of ammonium perchlorate. So this is the picture of before and after the event. As you can see here, the image in the after, there is no longer standing chemical plant due to the explosion that occurred. So, ammonium perchlorate is a powerful oxidizer. It is a key ingredient in rocket fuel used for space shuttle and missiles. The purpose of using ammonium perchlorate in those uh, space shuttle and missiles is to accelerate rocket fuel combustion. So this is how they use ammonium perchlorate in space it occurred on May 1st, 1988 on 11:30 a.m. During that time, Pepcon employees were preparing the chemical plant. Okay, so the spark from welding torch has ignited some of the fiberglass building material. This has caused the flame to grow out of control and engulf the whole Pepcon's massive stock of ammonium perchlorate. Okay, so ammonium perchlorate is very dangerous because the production involves several hazardous compounds such as hydrochloric acid and nitric acid. So the explosion, the Pepcon disaster, is the largest domestic non-nuclear explosion in history because it involves 55 gallon drums of ammonium perchlorate that exploded into a very high wall approximately 100 feet in diameter. So as fire reached the storage area of the facility that held 5,000 pounds shipping containers loaded with ammonium perchlorate, the largest explosion occurred. So due to this, witnesses temporarily blinded by the immediate flash and others are located in the same ground.
Hi and Assalamualaikum. So I will explain about the cause of Pepcon disaster. As Amisha was explained about the background of Pepcon disaster, which is the chemical produced the AP, which is ammonium perchlorate. So this is the cause of Pepcon disaster, which is there is an initial, which is the first thing happens, which is the fire, the first explosion, and then second explosion. Actually, there are many explosion occur, but this is the major one, which is the initial one, which is the fire, the first explosion, and the second explosion, which is the largest. So let's see the video. Alright, the video I will show you is the original audio recording from the workers that managed to go far away from the chemical plant. So they managed to record the explosion. What you see first, this is the fire, which is the fire was caused by the spark from a welding torch, which is used by the workers there when they repairs, and then the spark from a welding ignited the fiberglass material. So that is the cause. And then the workers tried to extinguish the fire with hose line. However, it charged the second hose line, which reduced the water pressure and allowed the fire to grow. So this is what happened. So that is the first explosion, which is the fire grew at accelerated rate. This is because of the fire reached the ammonium perchlorate residue at the facility, which is 55 gallons at ammonium perchlorate storage drum, which the drum was stacked together next to the drying structure, and that's why the explosion occurred. So let's see the second explosion, which is the largest explosion during the Pepcon disaster. The minor explosion occurred, which you see how the massive explosion occur. So the second explosion occurs when the fire reached the storage area of the facility that held large aluminium, which was 5,000-pound shipping containers loaded with ammonium perchlorate. After the largest explosion, the fire starting to diminish rapidly because of the fuel that left was decreases. So that's all for cost. Um, Next, Nafisa will explain about the aftermath, the effect of the Pepcon disaster.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Nafisa Akhirah binti Zulkifli. I will presenting about the effect for the Pepcon disaster. Okay, actually I already divided this effect into the three main point, which is to the person, to the surrounding, and lastly to the company. Okay, let we move to the first point. Okay, this explosion caused about 372 people injured, with the killing two people. One of them is someone that used the wheelchair, and it make him difficult to lift the size. The other person was Roy Westerfield. He is the person that who make the first emergency call, and unfortunately, however, he also the handicapped person, and this make him difficult to leave the building. To the second point is to the surrounding. Okay, this explosion affecting the 10 miles of Las Vegas Valley, and the report from the NASA, they found that there are two biggest explosion was measured about 3.0 and 3.5 on the Richter scale around the California, and it also happened in the Colorado. From the person around the Henderson, they found that the smoke arose to the several thousand feet on the thermal column, and it goes over the residential and commercial zone of the Henderson. And the explosion also caused the smoke wave shock wave. This shock wave caused the several damage on the building, on the door, walls, window, and also some of the window crack, that happen from the aspiration. And lastly, to the company, which is the last main point, the Pepcon company lost about 100 million US dollar due to the aspersion, and some of the investigator done the several investigation, and they found that the aspiration is similar to 1 kiloton A plus nuclear detonation. Okay, this is the slide. This is the pictures. The truck that affected by the Pepcon disaster. This is example the shock wave. They show that the shock wave from the aspiration is very strong. Okay, that's all from me about the effect of the Pepcon disaster. I pass to the next presenter.
Okay. So from our case study, we found out 10 10 potential hazardous event. Okay. We use potent analysis to recognize hazardous element in chemical plant, which is this technique was used to describe the measure accident hazards of process, the potential causes, and the effect of measure hazardous. The use of this technique was to help to prioritize activities and focus on specific aspects of the process design, operations, and maintenance that are central to maintaining a good level of safety and ensuring the risk is as low as reasonably allowed, and to understand the relevance of the question and thereby increases the value of audit. Generally, what we have explained to you, the causes of this event was due to the emissions of fiberglass material from the spark of welding, and then the workers trying to extinguish the fire, but somehow, however, the fire was good and caused two major explosion, which is the first one is when the fire reached 55 gallons of ammonium chloride, and the second one when the fire reached the large residue of aluminium with 5,000 of aluminium perchlorate AP, 5,000 pounds of shipping container loaded with AP. Okay, so from that we analyze 10 potential hazards. So I will show to you five of it. First, we have mechanical damage to the pipeline. So as you can see here, this is the flow. So first we identify the disaster. Okay, this is the background disaster, and then we identify the causes they might happen and prevention to avoid this damage, and then we identify the consequence. This is the flow. Okay, and then correction, the causes, the prevention, and consequence. Okay, here you can see the prevention. This is the route that might we can do is routine inspection of pipeline. Okay, as you know, some in every chemical plant, the routine inspection of pipeline is necessary to make sure that the pipeline is in a good condition. And then the third one is the nearby explosion at neighboring natural gas pipeline. So this is the causes, the prevention, and the consequence. As you know, in Pepcon disaster, there is a city located, but somehow the city located far away, uh, from which is safe place located, which is Henderson City. Uh, during the Pepcon disaster, Pepcon City is one of the places that affected from the explosion. Of course, there is injury and property damage. Number 4 is pressure escalation. Okay, you can read here. This is the causes, the preventions, and the consequence. Number 5 is the spontaneous loss of integrity of pipe, which is the okay. This is the causes, prevention, and the consequence. The number of prevention depends on the potential event itself. So this is the 5 potential event hazardous that might be happen. So Nafisa will show you another 5 of potential hazardous event.
Assalamualaikum. I will continue the explanation about the bow tie diagram analysis. Okay, the erosion come from the flooding. When there is flooding around the pipeline area, then it will cause the erosion, and um, this will affect the damage of the coating and go to the subsequent corrosion issue. If we not correcting it, it may lead to the failure of the pipeline. And how we want to prevent it? We have to control the erosion through the regular and periodic patrol and inspection. And the second, we can prevent it by repair to soil cover if there is any erosion. The second point is land subsidence will result to the damage of the pipeline. This land subsidence is a cause from the mining activity in that area, or maybe there is a quake that happened in the pipeline area, and this will lead to the failure of the pipeline, and then cause the rupture, and maybe can cause the massive leak. If and when there is happen the leak, there the pipeline will release the natural gas, and this give the possibility of the flash or jet fire, and if there is any explosion that will cause the property damage. And the next point, if there is maybe the aircraft, train, or heavy vehicle crash that happened around that area, that will cause to the damage of the pipeline, and this cause will affect the pipeline, which is it can make the damage to the pipeline, and well, when the pipeline is damaged, it will result to release the hazardous chemical. And how we want to prevent it? There is several tips. Firstly, we can bury the pipeline so that when there are any of crash happen around the area, the pipeline will prevent it from leak. And second, aviation safety standard must apply. And the third, automatic line brake isolation valve that to minimize the amount of the gas relief if the gas pipe is damaged. The next point is damage a pipeline through the vandalisms or terrorism. Okay, that is um, very bad thing. How we want to this vandalism can cause to the rupture of the pipeline and release the some natural gas, and then will cause to the some flash and jet fire will happen. And how we want to prevent it? We can bury the pipeline, or install the building door with the intruder alarm, that when there's someone's done the vandalism, so that the alarm will take action. Okay, there is a last point, which is the neighboring fire. The uh, pipeline problem also can cause from the neighboring fire. Maybe there is a brush fire around the pipeline area. So this fire will cause the possible heat radiation on the pipeline. So it will damage the pipeline and the equipment around them, and will cause the release of the hazardous material, and lastly we go to the fire risk. And how we want to prevent it, we can control the vegetation in the easement and above the around the gulf, fire safe, and lastly bury the pipeline so that the pipeline uh, will not affected by the radiation. Okay, okay, that's all for the bow tie analysis diagram. This is our last slide, which is the lesson learned that we can get from the Pepcon exploration. Okay, firstly, for the human behavior, from the previous analysis that already done by the several agency, there's I guess a few lessons, which is the first from the human behavior. Okay, the public actually need to be more punctuality and timely information, especially during the emergency situation. So the company must be more considering on the human nature evacuation planning, and more focusing on the safety evacuating, especially for the handicapped person, and how they want to evacuate from the disaster if it happened. And from the report, they also pinned some important procedure and the system were leaking at the Pepcon plant. And actually, the Pepcon company need to better housekeeping and fire watch, which is it actually to prevent the fuel source that from the combustible, the breeding product. And lastly, the investigator also tells that this disaster also happened because of the lack of the ventilation system, sprinkle deluge system, alarm, fire sensing system, and evacuation step. So, that's all for me from the group background disaster. Thank you.